Many of us may be hearing about this drug for the first time, but my next guest has been warning about it for years. And he joins me now, former acting DEA Administrator Derek Maltz. Derek, thanks so much for being here. So fentanyl is terrifying enough on the streets, but nitazenes, 43 times more powerful? Not even Narcan can reverse an overdose?
Elizabeth, thanks for having me. This is a very important topic. Synthetic drugs, as you know, have changed the game in America. It's way cheaper, more addictive, very deadly, made in labs in China. Americans, like those poor families we just saw, their kids are being deceived to death. They're taking what they think is pain medicine, or in some cases, they're snorting what they think is cocaine or using meth. Not a good thing to do. But they don't take these drugs expecting to die. Kids are supposed to learn from mistakes, not die from mistakes. But the entire class of what we call new psychoactive substances is emerged over the last, let's just say, 5 or 6 years. 2019, we had a seizure in America of isonitazine. But there's a whole class. They're very dangerous. They're synthetic opioids. But Elizabeth, here's the bad news. This country's been bombarded for over 15 years with synthetic cannabinoids, synthetic cathinones, fentanyl, carfentanil, xylazine, nitazene, isonitazine, metonitazene. All of these substances are coming from these labs in China.
So
our greatest adversary.
Talk me through that. Is it easy? Is it completely made in China? I mean, we know that with fentanyl, for example, China sends the chemicals, the precursor chemicals, to Mexican drug labs where they make the drug. Are the nitazenes made completely in China? And then how does it get to the U.S.?
All right, great question. So remember, when the bombing of America started with fentanyl analogs, it came directly from China in the mail services over the internet. People were buying it, getting it in America, mixing it with heroin at the time and other drugs. And we were finding all these dead Americans on the streets. When the autopsies came back, it was illicit fentanyl. When the pressure started going on China for selling deadly drugs to Americans, they changed their method of operation. They started shifting and sending the chemicals into Mexico so the cartels can make it on their own. The Chinese criminal networks didn't want their fingerprints on the death and destruction, so they turned it over to the cartels.
But now they do?
Excuse me?
Now they do with the nitazenes?
Well, that's a great question. If you look into this, you'll see that it's about 15 years of dumping these deadly substances on our country. The House Select Committee in Congress did an investigation which shows the Chinese Communist Party incentivized the shipment of certain chemicals and certain drugs to America outside of China. If you sell this stuff in China, you will be dealt with severely. The bottom line is there is speculation. I personally believe that this is an attack on our country to destabilize America using these deadly substances under the disguise of drug addiction. It's very strategic, it's very real, and it's very deadly. You can see behind me, I support thousands of families around America. You see the little boy there, 1 year old, Nicholas, Dominican boy, goes to daycare in New York and dies from fentanyl poisoning. So these substances are saturating our communities, and we need to do a lot more.
So let me ask you a question. These nitazenes, I mean, I spoke to a family about 2 years ago who'd had a child who died from an overdose on nitazene. And I remember calling my doctor friend who's an anesthesiologist to ask him, like, what is this? I'd never even heard of it. People have never heard of nitazenes. I know they're also being put into drugs by the Mexican drug cartels. Why would drug cartels want to put a drug this deadly on the streets? It's killing their customers.
Great question. The cartels don't want to kill their customers. They want to maximize the revenue, and they've done a good job at that. But let me make this clear. DEA in July of 2020, that's 5 years ago, they issued an emergency temporary order placing isonitazene into the Schedule I of the Controlled Substance Act. Attorney General Moody had to do the same type of action in the state of Florida a few years later in 22. Even Senator Cotton introduced a bill permanently banning isonitazene, which is very similar substance. The point is that America's done a horrible job at educating our communities and our families, and especially our kids. That's why I've been calling out for education in every school in America This is not, by the way, a red or a blue issue. It's red, white, and blue. Every American should care. It's killing citizens of our country in all walks of life, socioeconomic status. And I don't really care, what, background these people have. I follow every day the families that are burying their kids. And the story of those two families you played is just every day we're seeing hundreds of these people dying.
Yeah.
So it's very sad, and we have to start being more aggressive with the shipments from China.
Right,
Just to be clear, because you asked the question, people are buying this stuff online. By the way, you could buy xylazine, for example, for $1 a kilogram. Xylazine is what's causing necrosis, and we see people rotting in the streets of America. Why are they putting that for $1 up for sale? Why would they do that? To harm Americans.
Important, we've said this before in this show, do not buy prescription medication online unless you get it from a pharmacist. Do not take it. You don't know what's in it. Nitazenes, you need to remember that name. It's a scary thing. I know we've had lots and lots of people in Europe dying of this. It's now lots and lots of people in the United States. Derek, thank you so much for joining us to sound the alarm.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.